Have you ever had trouble sticking with healthy habits, even though it's something that you want to do, and maybe for years you've wanted to make changes to your health or do certain things to improve your health, and you seem to just like start and then it falls away, and you start and it falls away? I can totally identify with you. I wanted to share something that I learned last week, like a mindset thing that I thought it was really nice how it was put. So I wanted to share that and kind of expound on it a little bit. I'm Katarina. This is Level Up Life Project. And I heard this from another creator named Mike Chang. And he was talking about how to really take making changes to your health seriously when health is not necessarily your biggest goal at this point in your life. For whatever reason, it might be that your goal is something related to business or something related to your kids. And that's really the angle that I want to hone in on, especially for mothers with daughters to see. So the suggestion was see how you can connect the dots from your goals around health to your higher priority goals. So I mentioned mothers with daughters because it's really easy, and I think it's really common to have this thought of, I would do anything for my kids. And that's awesome because our kids are so important. Um, but having this view of, I do anything for my kids, but when it comes to like my own self care or changing habits or taking time to do things that will benefit me as a mother and a woman, that falls to the back burner. And I'm not going to say that I've never done that because I have, but I really like this idea of connecting the dots. So I wanted to go through and whatever your big goal is, um, it's definitely really worthwhile to take the time and see how does this maybe less important, or this goal that maybe I know mentally is important, right? We hear all the time how important caring for our health is. So we might know on an intellectual level, but it hasn't really been internalized enough to motivate change. How can I do that? So you take it and connect it to something that is already a big motivator for you. So let's go back to my example that I was mentioning of mothers with daughters. And this can apply with mothers with sons too, but I say, and fathers with sons, and all of the crisscrossing, matching combinations. But I say mothers with daughters because typically daughters will look at the example that their mother sets around time for herself, self esteem, um, the way you view your body, and things like that. They'll look more at what your example than what you say to them. So, for example, if you are wanting to inculcate in your daughter the ideas of you're worthy just as you are, you don't need to conform to other people's expectations, be the best person you can be, and that is more than enough, and you're worth love and you're worth time, and you're trying to inculcate all those things in her. But for yourself, you don't give yourself love. Maybe you look in the mirror and do like those, I hate this roll on this side, or those things that we do. um, if she hears one thing but sees another, what she sees has a stronger impact. And that's not to impose any type of guilt, but that's to encourage you to do the self work, like, or to connect the dots, right? So in connecting the dots, taking time to make not necessarily huge, epic, this is going to take over my life type changes for your health, but even small adjustments to your health and to your self talk and to your mindset, those are worthwhile investments of your mental energy, your time, resources, because those things are what will have a greater impact over time. So if you up to this point have been that person that like self-criticizes and speaks poorly of yourself while you want to speak this love and potential and everything into your daughter, staying with my example again, this can apply to different genders and parent genders and all the things. But if you can do some of the self work, the mindset work, the speaking to yourself in the mirror and telling yourself you're beautiful and you're worthy of love and all those things, not necessarily in front of her, but maybe in front of her, but to genuinely make those changes in your mind and heart, and then let those changes blossom out to other things that can include your children or your daughter. So, for example, um, one thing that I do that I don't have a daughter, I have a son, but that he sees me do is when I'm cooking, I'm usually doing like some little thing with my legs, or like when I'm waiting for things, you only stir every little while for some dishes. So I'll do, knee raises or something while I'm doing that, because some days you don't have extra time to say, oh, I'm going to hit the gym today. But you can do these little things that show I'm paying attention to my health and trying to become the best version of myself, that can then help other people around me be the best version of themselves. So if, in the mother daughter example, if maybe one of the most important things to you right now is the raising of your children, just connect the dots to my healthy lifestyle sets the best example for them. And of course, the better my health is, the more I can show up for them. One thing that I've mentioned in previous videos for myself is I overdid it a couple years ago, injured my knees, and I wasn't even able to kneel down next to the bathtub by my son. I had to like kind of do other things to try to make that work. That's how bad the knee pain was. Like I wasn't able to like go all the way down on my knees, like where you're like all the way crouched down, or like sitting on um, your shins and your knees are bent. And I couldn't even do that for months. Um, so, if you have some type of limitation and you can gradually work on that, like now, it took a couple months, and that was several years ago that happened. But I got to where I could do that again and play on the floor with him again. But I've been very careful about overdoing any running, and there are benefits to sprinting and things like that. But I stay aware, because now, gradually building up over years, I can do short little runs, and I save those particularly for doing it with my son, because he likes to run. And every once in a while I'll say, okay, let's race, and oh man, it's just wonderful for him. But I stay aware, because once you've had an injury, as you may know, there are days that are better and days that are worse. So if I'm out with my son and he says, let's race to that tree, or let's race to that telephone pole, but I know my knees were feeling a little off that day, I prioritize staying well so that we can keep doing great things together, and for other goals that I have. But I prioritize myself in the sense that he wants me to run with him right then. But if I know my knee is off, or I have like an SI thing from when I gave birth to him, if I know that my body is telling me, hey, we need just kind of a more gentle day today, then I respect that, and I give my body and myself that priority, and I say, mommy's not going to run today, but I'll count while you run to the tree. And so, I try to do things to still make it so I'm engaging with him while protecting my health. And that can be in many, many different ways. I'm happy to share more ideas if that's something that you want to hear, or there's something else related to health or mindset that you want me to expound on. Please feel free to leave that in the comments. If this was beneficial to you, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all the things. But I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this perspective. And again, I related it to parents because that's kind of what I have on my mind right now. But this idea of just connecting the dots between health or, whatever goal that mentally is important, but you haven't been motivated to act on. So that could be house cleaning or writing a book that you've always wanted to write. I mean, it could be many different things. But if you connect the dots between that goal that you haven't been taking much action on and a higher priority goal, and really take the time, you may think it through, you may write it out, you may see more active progress on that secondary goal as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.